Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Man United agenda. This is the player ratings. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Man United agenda. With me today, I have got TalkMU. How are you today, Talk?
Yeah, good. I'm good. I'm all good, MAISEY. I'm all good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So we're doing the player ratings for Manchester United on yesterday's game against Chelsea. How did you find the game overall?
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, it just again exposed our weaknesses in our midfield. Well, I think it was a decent performance considering what we were up against and what the manager had said previously. So I thought we did okay, to be fair.
I completely agree, 100%. Everyone who is currently watching, please hit the like and subscribe button. We are nearly at 1k subscribers. So once we are at 1k subscribers, you are at a chance of winning a free Bruno Fernandes shirt. I can see there is a couple of people in the chat already. We've got LU and Manu. Big up to you. Thank you for tuning in. Got Noah here as well. Hello there, Noah. I hope you're well. I've got Jackie here as well. Hello there, Jackie.
Yeah, big up, Jackie.
I've got Yank talking smack. Connor, hello there, Connor. I hope you're well. Got Matteo in the building. Good evening to you too, Matteo.
Buongiorno.
Box's focus. Big up to you too as well.
Yeah, big up,
and big up here as well to Matt from Football United TV.
I loved it when he says that. It's like you can imagine there's someone saying it in this kind of accent. Hey, big up me, Julies. Do you know what I mean? It always makes me laugh. He leaves me loads of messages with that. All right, me Julie. Like, I don't know why you think I'm called Julie, but you know what? I'll go with it. I don't mind.
Is she name in disguise?
Well, I think, all right. I was going to say something about being on the weekends, but I'm sure people can work that out.
Let's get ready with these player ratings then.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll start with our first player, as always, David De Gea, the number one goalkeeper. He currently played 90 minutes against Chelsea. Shots on target against was 6. So overall, he had a save percentage of 83.33%. I think it was actually a real top performance of David De Gea yet again, kept us in the game. He made some magnificent saves, to be honest, and you couldn't have asked any better from him. And for me, I'm going to rate him a 7 because I think he played brilliant. What would you rate De Gea?
Yeah, I mean, he did really well, and but there was a couple of moments where he could have, as you remember, because he was on the watch along, where he could have released the ball early. We could have, and I remember saying it on one of the occasions. I was like, "Go on, throw it," and he didn't do it, and I was like, "Oh, damn, it's too late." But overall, you know what? Listen, he's that part of his game we know has always been a bit of a question mark, but you know what? He did what he had to do. So yeah, I'm pleased with that performance, and I'll match you for that one, no problem whatsoever. I'll go for a 7.
That's great. We'll go now on to the next player. BISSAKA played an overall 90 minutes, passing success of 63%. He won 3 tackles and he won 1 aerial. What did you think of BISSAKA's performance overall?
I thought he was brilliant, if I'm honest with you. I know there's some people won't agree, but you think about who he was up against. You know, I think he did quite well. And for me, that interception was unbelievable. The way he blocked that shot. You're talking like milliseconds. It was to anticipate that and get across as quickly as he did, and just just in a nick of time, get his toe there, and to put have that ball squirt out was sensational because they would have scored. There's no two ways about it. So you know what, he's got a lot of learning to do still. We know that in his attacking, in attacking sense. But I'm gonna give him a 7.
Yeah, I think with me, with Wan-Bissaka, there was some parts of the game where I felt he done brilliant. There was a couple of good blocks there from him, and it did keep Hudson-Odoi quiet. And it's very hard to keep Hudson-Odoi quiet at the pace he does have, and the way he's come through into that starting 11 for Chelsea. So it is going to be very difficult for Wan-Bissaka knowing who he is up against. However, there was certain moments for Wan-Bissaka where he did give the ball away too cheaply for me. Another thing what I was quite disappointed in with Wan-Bissaka was that penalty incident on Thiago Silva. And a lot of people will say it was a different player who did cost the game, whereas with them 3 points, I would have blamed that on Wan-Bissaka because it's a silly penalty to give away.
The thing for me, though, Maisie, is on reflection and on looking back at it, why VAR, why they dismissed it or why they come to the conclusion as quickly as they did, is a nonsense. Because if you go back and watch it, Wan-Bissaka, the ball is actually in like the air, right? As Wan-Bissaka's pulling his leg back and then going forward to strike it, that's the moment where Silva puts his leg across at the same moment Wan-Bissaka's about to strike the ball. Now, if for me, if Thiago Silva's leg would have been already there and Wan-Bissaka's gone to kick the ball, then yeah, it would have been a penalty. But for me, it wasn't a penalty because they both went at the same time, and it just happened. They happened to meet in the middle because they both went at the same time. So they're both going for the ball. So how can I don't understand that. It's a nonsense. It's not a penalty. No way. And why VAR didn't say, yeah, well, wait a minute, you need to go back and look at that. It's crazy, you know. So that I'm not even going to hold that against him because for me it wasn't a penalty. That's why I went with a 7.
For me, I'm gonna go with a 5 for Wan-Bissaka just because I don't feel like it was his best performance as a Man United player, in my opinion. We've got a comment here from Football United TV. Carrick did what I would have done with Ronaldo at the end to bag the winner, but it didn't pay off. Great tactics don't always work to perfection. A draw was a brilliant result. Matteo, Wan-Bissaka not play well enough. Stupid penalty, gave it away. And Jacket, I so agree about your observation around the Wan-Bissaka penalty. So we'll go now on to the next player, which is Lindelof. Lindelof played a full 90 minutes. He won one aerial passing success of 72%, and he had 9 clearances. For me, you do look and you do think, as well as the other 3 defenders, he did keep Chelsea very quiet because the most of the game it was in our box rather than it being on the other side. So we was in our half quite a lot, and I think he done the first half. It wasn't as great for me where he did stand out and he just seemed quite weak. But coming into the second half, he seemed like a completely different to me, and it just felt like overall I think he did really well in defending. So for me, I'm gonna give Lindelof a 6. What are you going for with Lindelof talk?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I mean, there was a couple of occasions where he was just sort of slightly behind the play, just slightly behind the play. And I think that was the case in the Wan-Bissaka block. I think it was Lindelof was just slightly got the player get ahead of him. So, but I mean, you know, he's one of our quicker defenders, I would say. He's quicker than Maguire. Don't think he's quite as quick as Bayer, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, like I said, they scored 1 goal. They did have some opportunities, shall we say, to work themselves when they were in good positions. But by closing them down, by getting in their faces, by being in the right place, we sort of nullified that. So yeah, I'm gonna give him. I'll give him a 6.
We'll go now on to one of your favourite defenders, Eric Bayer. Eric Bayer, he played 90 minutes. passing success of 96.20%, so that is extremely high. 6 clearances, but he did have 1 yellow card, and I was baffled about the yellow card, and I was presuming it was because of time wasting. What did you think about Bailly's performance, Talk?
Yeah, Bailly does what Bailly does. You know, he's great. I do really like Eric Bailly. I think he's just because of his tenacity, his pace. He can read the game well. I mean, yeah, there are odd occasions where he can be a little bit too giddy, shall we say? You know, he's going a bit rash. But I mean, overall, I thought it was a decent performance from him. To be honest with you, again, put it into context of what happened with Chelsea. The quality of the this is what you have to do when you're talking about defenders. You have to think about the quality of the chances that opposition create. Now, they weren't the greatest of opportunities that they created. I think they got 1 or 2 by set pieces, which were really good. Up like the one at the end, you know, which saying no more went skywards to the other side of West London. But yeah, I mean, the yellow card, crazy. I mean, I remember we were doing a watch along and we were saying, yeah, wait, what's going on here? And next thing you know, I'm going, yeah, wait a minute, everybody's got yellow card.
I remember.
What's going on here? And I'm like, what? Anyway, but you know what? Referees are referees. They're a strange breed. But yeah, I mean, I was really pleased, to be fair, with Bailly. So I'm gonna go. I'll go par with Lindelof. I'll give him a 6.
For me, I felt like Bailly was the better defender out them two. He did quite a few clearances. He had them few blocks, and I felt like what I really love about Bailly, he's very physical, and a lot of the times it is really needed. But sometimes, like you say, he can be a little bit hasty, and I felt like his timings in terms of his tackles, his clearances were absolutely perfect against Chelsea, and he didn't cause too much trouble for Manchester United, like giving away like silly free kicks or anything what you would usually expect off Eric Bailly. So I think he was the better out the two.
Do you know it was the opening? I think was it in the opening couple of minutes where Hudson-Odoi just got clean through.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh man, I was like, he went through 2 defenders. Like, what's going on here? Wasn't it, you know what I mean? I was like, oh my god, you're kidding me. But yeah, they did get better. The performance picked up. And yeah, pretty pleased overall.
I'm gonna agree with you, and I'm gonna give Bailly a 6 as well. So we'll go now on to our last defender who played for Manchester United starting 11, which is Telles. Telles played a full 90 minutes. He had a passing success of 63.9%, 3 tackles, 1, 3 clearances, 1. For me, I felt like out of the 2 fullbacks who played, I felt like Telles was the better one. However, there was some times where Telles defending, I was thinking a bit like, you should have done a little bit better there. So we always say BISSAKA isn't the best at going forward, but for Telles, he isn't the best at defending, and we haven't exactly got that fullback who's got the full package at this moment in time. I know Luke Shaw did last season, but out of the 2 who played, we haven't got the full package for either one of them yet. But overall, for me, I'd probably give Telles a 6. Just because I felt like sometimes he was very good at going forward. I think the corners he made, the free kicks he done was great for me as well. It's just that there was a couple of times for me where I felt like about some of his defending. But apart from that, I was pretty satisfied with Telles. What would you go with Telles?
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you there on that one. I'll give him a 6. I mean, he did some good stuff on his side, on his wing there. But again, yeah, the defending side of things needs a little bit of work doing on that. But you know, these kind of players are hard to find. You know, really good left and right backs who are good at both.
Yes.
You know, it's hard to find, isn't it? Because as good as Trent Alexander-Arnold is going forward, you know what? Is he that great at the back? No.
The only one I can think can do both is Reece James.
Reece James, yeah, he seems like he's a great player, but you know what? This is something that for us as a team we're going to have to really work hard on, and maybe there's going to have to be a lot of transfers. There's going to have to be a lot of players moving forwards in terms of out the door, and a lot of players coming in. So if we are to really take this, because the way this guy plays, this Ronick, You know, if he's going to try, I mean, it's not guaranteed that he's actually going to try and get us to do what Liverpool and stuff do. We don't know yet, but if he is going to try and go down that route, we're going to need players to be on it, both ends, defence and attack. So, going to be interesting to see how that gets worked out. But overall, I suppose you know what he did his job. He did his job.
Yeah, so that's all of the defenders what has been done. So we'll go next on to the midfield. We'll start first with Matic. Matic played a full 90 minutes, passing success of 80%, 4 tackles won, 2 successful dribbles. What's your opinion on Matic on yesterday's game?
Outstanding.
Yes.
He was absolutely class. Quality, calm, collected, cool. Showing his experience. Yeah, he was just. I mean, if only he was 5 years so younger, it'd be absolutely amazing. But he was fantastic for me, and I'm actually going to give him an 8. So I thought he was really, really good.
I couldn't have said it better myself, to be honest. Matic was extremely well. There was times where he was that calm on the ball. It just felt like he, in that midfield, he was at a little bit of a rock. And it kind of helped Scott and Fred as well for them to go a little bit more forward and for them to be a bit more free, because he's that proper soul CDM. And, you know, when you've got Matic on the pitch, you feel a bit more stability being on there. And I'm going to completely agree with you. I'm going to go with an 8 with Matic as well. I was extremely happy with his performance. And to be honest, I really want him to have them couple more games under Ralph as well. So it'd be interesting to see on how he'll be used.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, considering what Ralph is supposedly going to want us to do, you know, in terms of this pressing game, how does he? Again, it's a case of how does he fit these players in who haven't supposedly got the legs for it? You know, I suppose, you know what, it could be a case of half and half. You know, first half somebody, second half somebody else. You know, because I think for half an hour, I think they've got the legs. You know, because they're not going to be continually at it. And if they do things correctly and listen to what's being told and asked of them, he should have moments where he can just rest his legs for a moment. You know, where he's not continually just going at it like an headless chicken. You know, because we don't want it to work like that, and it doesn't work like that actually. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he gets fit in. You know, with the plans of this guy.
We've got a couple of comments here, so I'll quickly go through them. Matteo, if Chelsea played with a real number 9, would be harder because we're not make correct runs. I did not link play like Lukaku. What's your nickname for Werner talk? Because I know you said it.
Oh, Wonky. Yeah, Wonky Werner. Wonky Werner. He's got a foot. Honestly, he's got a foot like a sheriff's badge. Honestly. Ping. You can shoot it towards the left, and it'll ping out towards the right. You know what I mean? It's like, listen, he's got a lot of pace about him, but let's have it right. He's not a striker, not by any means.
No,
and
he's more of a winger for me.
Yeah, you know, it's But you know what? I don't really care too much for any of them. If I'm honest.
Jacket, I'm a bit of a Bailey fan. Wish he played Morel. We've got
Morel. Yeah, he's a good defender in Morel. We bought him about 1976.
We've got
Maisie. Sorry, Jackie. Yeah, Jackie, you're on the same page. You're on the same page, my friend, because I think under this new manager can do. I think he can do really well. Just because of the pace he's got, and you know, he can press. There's no two ways about that. You know, he can be the one to press to mark. You know, he could be the one to mark, or maybe if it's going to be, let's say, if it's Maguire and Baye in a back four, then you want Maguire to be the one to mark and Baye to be the one behind, so that if Maguire fails in being able to win the ball in the first instance, right, and then the forward is quicker than him and gets away from him, you've got Eric Bayer then on the spot, ready to get in there and intercept and boom, null it out. So, but no, I do really like Eric.
Got my dad in the chat. Hey, Maisie and Talk.
Yes, big up, Robert.
I thought Bailly was the best defender for me. Matteo, for me, Telles played so good. Reece James, Ziyech not able to create effective overload because Matic and Telles played so well. LU Manu, Ronaldo presence would have forced Chelsea to play defensive. That would have reduced their attacks, but we got that goal because they went all offensive as there was no Ronaldo threat up front. Got Football United TV. Smash the like button. Go subscribe. Merry October. It's too early to say it yet. Too early. Far too early. I don't want to think about Christmas yet.
Yeah, it's Christmas. It's going to be December very shortly.
It is. Matteo, Matic, McTominay play so well, also because they help fullbacks a lot and not let Hudson-Odoi, Ziyech and Werner link up. If Bay does one mistake, the press will be Maguire back, and when Maguire does multiple mistakes, it's fine. Telles will be picked ahead of Shaw with the new boss. I thought Man United was unlucky not to win. Unlucky not to win. Emmanuel, AO, he comes from Serbia, you know the rest. Man United play so well and effective, but not creating many chances. For me, was a good result for Rangnick to build upon. I failed to understand the Fred pass to Mendy. I enjoyed Maisie laughing at Timo being Timo moment.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It is what it is, isn't it?
I'm a bit of a Bailey's fan too, especially at Christmas.
Yes, Matt there with the old Baileys. It's nice that if it's nice and warm, the heating's on, you're all snug, you're watching a film, lights are down low. You know what I mean? You have a nice Baileys, some nice treats as well. You know what I mean? That'll help you get to sleep. There's no two ways about
that. We will never understand the Donny treatment under Ollie and Carrick. I wouldn't exactly say Carrick because he started under Carrick in the Champions League.
Yeah, I thought
Carrick's only played 2 games. He's only had 2 games.
That was the one of the things that I was expecting when we seen that substitution coming. I thought it was going to be. No, I'm thinking of a different one. I do beg your pardon. I'm thinking about when he took off Sancho. We was waiting to take off Rashford.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be Rashford who come off, and then it was going to be Ronaldo who come on. But Sancho actually had a knock, didn't he, at that point? Got 2 more comments here. Manchester needs centre back because Rangnick likes centre back who can attack. Varane would be so good, so effective. Sargon is in the chat. Hello there, Sargon. I hope you're well. Lord knows why Sky gave Scott McTominay man of the match. It was either Fred or De Gea. Maisie, you have an infectious laugh. Thank you very much there. We'll go now on to the other midfielders. We'll go with Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay played a full 90 minutes, a passing success of 92.30%. He had 1 yellow card and he won 4 tackles. For me, a lot of people were very happy with McTominay's performance. However, I just felt like out of the 3 midfielders who played, he wasn't the best out the 3. I'm not saying he had the game where he was one of the worst players on the pitch, but I just felt like I could have expected a bit better of Scott McTominay as well. I just felt like we could have seen a bit more from Scott, especially when you've seen him in different games. For me, I'm gonna give Scott a 6. What are you going for with Scott?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about, we had Fred, Matic, and Scott McTominay. I mean, all kind of not really creative midfielders. So, it's like it's going to make it's going to make one of them's going to stand out as not being the best, and I have to agree. But I still have to say though, I thought he had a decent game because he did some really good stuff in that game. He really did. We're not going to be sort of biased or because I have been asking for Scott to improve of late, and I thought in that game he was pretty decent. He did what he had to do. He was a menace. He got into the right areas. There's a couple of moments where he could have done better. Obviously, there's always going to be, but I just think overall he wasn't too bad. So I'll give him a 6.
And we'll go now to the last midfielder, Fred. Fred played a full 90 minutes, a passing success of 81.30%, 4 interceptions and 1 total shot. What did you think about Fred in the game, Talk?
He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. I mean, for him to turn it around as he has over the last few games is quite remarkable, to be fair. And you know what? May long it continue. If he can keep improving and improving and improving, then I'm all for that because we know what he brings to the party. Lots of energy. Listen, I know people are going to say, but what about the end? He could have won it. Blah. No, but you have to remember, when you're a footballer, you're on that pitch, you find yourself in a moment, you think that what he did, he thought at that moment that was his best option.
Yeah.
So you can't blame him for that. If that had gone in, raving. But just because it didn't go in, it's like, well, because he could. Let's say he did pass it, but then it got intercepted, or somebody got across, whoever he passed it to, and they got in and made a block, and then where everyone would have been saying, why didn't he shoot? So you know what? He did the right thing, in my opinion. He shot, and you know what? It was just unlucky that he didn't quite get it right. But I'm not going to hold that against him. But I'm going to actually give Fred a 9, just because of his work rate, his effort, his heart, desire, getting in, breaking play up, being strong, some good passing. So yeah, that's what I'm giving him.
Yeah, for me, I actually think yesterday's game was the best performance I've seen of Fred in a Manchester United shirt. Absolutely brilliant. I think he played extremely well. I think some of his blocking was amazing. The way he was on the counter-attack at sometimes, and that's what you see in Brazil. You see Fred going forward, and you've seen him going forward a few times as well. And he made them blocks. The interceptions were brilliant. What he done. I'm not going to hold that shot against Fred neither because it was just one of them situations. If, for example, that could have happened to any player, to be fairly honest. What if it was Ronaldo there or Sancho, and that could have exact same even happen with them? It was just unfortunate. It was Fred at the time.
Actually, just cast your mind back, Maisie. Ronaldo.
Yeah, he was actually there. Oh,
no! What happened with Ronaldo? He got in the box. He's got the one-on-one with the player. What does he do? He naffed it up.
Yes, I remember
oh
that.
My God! Right, so look, you know what? You can say what you want about Fred, but listen, like I say, for me, he made the right choice, just didn't pay off. You know what I mean? He ain't a striker. You know what I mean? He's a box-to-box midfielder, so maybe that's something that Ranić will see in Fred. He'll see, wait a minute, this guy, you know what? He could be actually be dangerous if he can work on his finishing, work on his decision-making, then I do believe that there's more to come from Fred.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give Fred a 9 as well. I think he was absolutely superb. And for me, he was my man of the match. We'll go for a couple more of the comments. Football United TV. De Gea has been incredible recently. Dean Henderson right now has no chance. Scott was one of the worst players on the pitch. McSauce was okay, but didn't offer passing options. 6 out of 10 is spot on. De Gea or Fred, man of the match for me. And we've got Solo here in the building as well. Hello, Solo. I hope you're well.
The boss man. Safe journey, Solo. He's on his way back from being up north. And I'll just tell you all, folks. He left me a message, voicemail, and I could tell in his voice how cold he was. The northern cold had a grip of Solo. He didn't like it. He didn't like it.
Well, if we was down south, we'd be thinking, oh, it's so warm, eh?
Yeah, I know. Do you know what? Yeah, I mean, it's great, isn't it? When you you do ever go down south, go to London or wherever, and the temperature's so much nicer. You know what I mean? But listen, I love being an Overner. It's great.
Yeah, me too. Next player we'll go with is Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes played a total 89 minutes, a passing success of 77.10%, 4 accurate long balls, and 1 yellow card. What did you think about Bruno's performance, Talk?
It wasn't his best game, was it, to be fair to him? You know, I don't know what we're seeing here from Bruno. Is it fatigue? You know, it's just not clicking for him at the moment. And it's I would say it's more so since Ronaldo's turned up. So I don't know what it is in his mind that he's thinking, that he thought was going to happen. You know, if he's trying too hard, in my opinion, a lot of the times. And I think it'd do him a world of good if he was to have a break. If give him a rest him for a game or two, give somebody else the shot. Have him on the bench, obviously, but give him a rest. Let him observe now from the bench, right? Because I think he's a little bit blinded because he's been our go-to. He's been in the early days, our saviour, you know. So I think he needs that time to reset and refresh. But just give Donny van der Beek a shot, you know, in my opinion, and let Bruno, you know, get his head right in the right place. Because for me, like I said, it wasn't his best game, and I'll give him a 5.
Yeah. With Bruno, I actually didn't think it was his best game either, to be fairly honest. It just felt like he was a bit all over the show for me. And another thing with Bruno, you could tell, especially near to the time he was coming off, the last 20 minutes or so, even we were saying in the watch along, Bruno's getting tired now, he's making silly mistakes, he needs to come off, his legs aren't getting there. And I think it was after he got fouled, and then that's when he started deteriorating that a little bit for me. And I'm going to go with a 5 as well for Bruno. It wasn't his best game. It's just a bit of a shame because, like you say, Bruno was our star man this time last season. He had the most goals for a midfielder in one season, and then he's not saying he's done bad this season because he's still got the most assists in the Champions League so far. He's still created the most chances in the Premier League. He's still got 4 goals in the Premier League. So you can't exactly say he's not doing a bad season, but I think a lot of people just had the expectation bar a bit too high now, knowing that how we've seen Bruno in the past.
I think he's suffering also from a lack of partnership in the squad, in the team, because you know, with Scott McTominay and Fred doing what they do, being so concentrated on, you know, sort of being defensive, you know, closing players down, trying to get the ball back, they're not really able to help him dominate the midfield. So that's where the imbalance comes from. You know, one end of the pendulum is heavier than the other, so it doesn't tick right. So, you know what? I think once we do get somebody in there who can complement Bruno, I think we'll see a lot more from Bruno in that respect, because we need somebody who can actually work the space better whilst in possession, hold the ball up, you know, find space, control the midfield, control the tempo. This is what we're lacking massively. And I believe, I can't remember the player's name, but OMONDI knows who it is. So if OMONDI is watching, please put it in the chat. The player that Ranić has supposedly already identified in the midfield.
From Leipzig, and he's a release clause of 33 million to be met in the winter window.
Right, okay. Yeah, so there you go. So if this is the case, but that also tells you, as Man United fans, the fact that we've this manager's come in and he's not even here yet. But he's already saying, I want this midfielder. There you go. That's it. A lot of our problems have been midfield based, you know, and it's because if you take away the midfield and just look at the back, the defense and the forward play, right? Them in terms of numbers, I would say, yeah, they're okay. They've done okay. But when you put it all together as a whole with the midfield, that's where everything just goes south. Because, like I said, we have no control over the midfield whatsoever. So that needs addressing quickly. So for me, Bruno, give him a rest, get Donny on.
Okay, next player we've got here, Jadon Sancho. Sancho played a total of 64 minutes, passing success of 76.20%, 1 accurate long ball and 1 goal. Jadon Sancho, wow, how well did he do to get that ball off Jorginho and on the counter-attack alongside with Rashford? I think he's done absolutely brilliant in winning that ball back for me, and I think we're seeing a lot more of Jadon Sancho, considering how he was on the first game he played for Man United, and now his confidence has grown so much. He's not relying too much now on the midfielders and the fullbacks to go that forward. He's taking on these defenders, which we was both crying out for, and I'm really happy with Sancho's performance. I'm going to give Sancho a 7. What are you going for with Sancho?
Yeah, I mean, the kid's got bundles of talent, bundles of energy. He seems to have a decent brain on him as well, so he's got the whole package for me. And I think, you know what? So I think like I've mentioned before, when it comes to Man United, you come to Man United, it's like, as a youngster especially, it's like, whoa, this is big time now. This is huge. And when you put that shirt on, you feel the weight of that shirt. There's no two ways about it. And I think in the early days, he was feeling the weight of that shirt. But you know what? I give him credit for working hard, listening to what's been asked of him. And I think it's now becoming a little bit lighter for him. And he's becoming more confident in his own abilities to be able to take players on, to be able to do little things. That goal was brilliant. But also, I do want to credit Bruno as well, because Bruno, he looked before he hoofed that ball, and he could see the opportunity that was there. And the fact that that Sancho and Rashford clocked it, but more so Sancho, as soon as that ball went up in the air, Sancho, he was off. You know what I mean? Like a little kid, he was off. I want it. That's my ball. I want that ball. Absolutely brilliant. And you know what? Jorginho thought he was clever. He thought he was going to bring it down on his foot. I know that technique he's trying to do because I've done it myself many times. What he wanted to do was to bring that ball down dead and then just pull it to one side away from Sancho and then lay it off. That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to look really cool and smart, right? It didn't work. And Sancho, yes, a little B, a little Mancunian. I know he's not Mancunian, but is he Mancunian?
I think he's from London. His youth team was Watford.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he's a Mancunian now. So like a busy little Mancunian bee, whoosh, gets in there, makes Jorginho look like an absolute clown that he is, and then puts Mendy on his ass. Bang! See the bit. What a goal! Absolutely brilliant. But Jadon, yeah, I'm going to give him a 9.
Brilliant. We'll go with the last starting 11 player. Then we'll go to the comments. Is Marcus Rashford, played a total of 77 minutes, passing success of 73.70%, one accurate long ball and one yellow card. I really wasn't happy with Marcus Rashford's performance. For me, it just feels like at this moment in time, he's much better as a substitute option, impactful sub than he is as a starting 11 player. And it really hurts me to say, because when you've seen the ability of Marcus Rashford and he's not being there for me right now, it is a little bit disappointing. I'm going to go with Rashford. I'm going to go with a 5 as well, because I felt like some of his passing, what he did was terrible. And some of his backward pass, he was doing a lot of backward passing as well for me. That was a big thing for me as well, and I think he was a bit careless in a couple of his tackles. What would you go for with Rashford?
Do you know what? I think like Bruno, I think Marcus is suffering the hangover of the poor performances we were having under Ollie. I think there was a time when he was doing really well. He then had the Euros. He then had the operation. He had the time off. He come back, and I think there's a little bit of. I think he's stuck in a bit of a loop. It's like everybody else is kind of now trying to reset, but I think him and Bruno are still in this, like this kind of Ollie. I'll call it the Ollie loop. They're still in that loop for me, and they both need to be rested. They both need to take a step back, and they need to be rested, in my opinion. Let somebody else have a chance and let them observe, from the stands as substitutes. And like you say, bringing him on as a substitute. But I do believe both of those players are going to play a huge part in what's going to happen when Rangnick comes in, because, like Rashford can press all day long. He's got the energy for it. He's got the legs for it. He's dangerous in front of goal. He's dangerous on that left-hand side. So for me, you know what? He just needs a little bit of a rest now. But if Rangnick's in there for the Arsenal game on Thursday, we may well see him start. We may well see him start. So, but yeah, it wasn't his best performance from Marcus, but I'll give him a 6.
We've got a couple of comments here. Matteo, man of the match for me would be Fred. He played so well, only missed one chance, and people say he had a bad game. Matt, Northerners buying ice cream in London in December. It happens, haha. Got Anthony Herbert here in the chat. Hi, Anthony. I hope you're well. Robert, Bruno's been rubbish for a few weeks now. Anthony, Bailey Juck had a bad experience on that.
Sorry about that,
we've got Matteo, Donny van der Beek has to play more minutes. Ragnick will use him properly. Ollie will make a big mistake putting him on the bench. Robert, how fast was Sancho for that goal? He was extremely fast. He just
very quick. Very quick indeed.
And we've got Matteo, I'd
have a dirt you, my friend. I think that's how I'd have a dirt you, my friend.
So here's all the player ratings done for our starting 11 players. It's been overall very good performance from Manchester United, and now it's just to look forward onto Thursday's game against Arsenal. I just want to say a big thank you for everyone who's tuned in today. Thank you to TalkMU for being alongside me as always for the player ratings. Please hit the like and subscribe button. We are close now to that 1K subscribers, and once we do hit that 1K subscribers, we will give away a free Bruno Fernandes shirt.
Yes. Yeah, big. I want to second that. Thank you all for tuning in. A lot of regulars, see a lot of regulars turning up as well, so it's very much appreciated, and thank you so much. And thanks for having me on, Maisie, on your fantastic show. I love it.
I love having you on. We've got a show at 8 o'clock, our usual Studs Up show. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be an absolute cracking show. So stay here for Man United Agenda at 8 p.m. and ready for that Studs Up show. But until then, we will see you all very soon. Goodbye.
Ciao.